Not having a roof over your head is one of the worst things that can happen to a struggling artist, but it can also be their biggest driving force to succeed in the entertainment industry.
There could be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe, but all it takes is one.
Let's take a look at these celebs who were able to turn their life around and go from living on the streets to owning million-dollar mansions. Here are 10 famous people who used to be homeless. What's up, Factnetics? This is Discovery Amuse, serving up your daily dose of the most outrageous, outlandish, and out-of-this-world fun facts. Keep watch until number 1, because that celeb literally went from zero to superhero.
Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Listen to these words.
Number 10, Steve Jobs.
You gotta have a problem that you want to solve, a wrong that you want to right. And it's gotta be something that you're passionate about, because otherwise you won't have the perseverance to see it through.
The late Steve Jobs may have become a multi-billionaire as the co-founder and CEO of Apple, but he didn't have much growing up. His adoptive parents even had to spend their entire life savings just to send him to college. However, after one semester, Jobs dropped out of school without telling his folks.
Got a problem.
Jobs said that he didn't want to spend their money on meaningless education. He stopped attending required classes at Stanford and instead joined subjects he was interested in, like calligraphy. During his commencement speech at Stanford University in 2005, Jobs shared the struggles he went through pre-Apple.
I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it.
Stay tuned, because our number 1 pick will surely give you that extra shot of inspiration you badly need these days. Number 9, Halle Berry.
Okay, wait a minute, I gotta take this 74 years here. Okay, I gotta take this time.
Before making history as the first woman of color to ever win the Best Actress Oscar, Halle Berry barely had $1 to her name when she was younger. When Halle moved to New York at 21 to pursue her Hollywood dream, after just 3 months, the money she earned from modeling gigs quickly ran out. She had nowhere else to go, so she called up her mom to ask if she could send her some money.
Oh God, I'm gonna kill Otunga.
However, her mother thought that it was best not to. That didn't kill her drive, though. She then stayed in a homeless shelter and took on jobs as a waitress until she was cast in small TV and movie roles.
Giving up was never an option. It was prove to her and everybody else that I can do. It took me right back to my high school years. You say I can't, watch.
Number 8, Tiffany Haddish.
Your phone, you got a text message. You say, Ava, why you be lying? Who is that? He like, girl, you seeing things.
The self-proclaimed last black unicorn had a pretty rough childhood, being put into foster care when she was 12, until finally being under her grandma's care at 15. When she turned 17, she saw comedy as an outlet for all her pain growing up. So she pursued stand-up despite years of struggling to get a lucky break. She even performed at bar mitzvahs just to make ends meet.
I'm like, get up, put them locks down, it's time to dance. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Yes.
Mazel tov,
Yes.
as he said.
Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila.
During her early years as a comic, Tiffany admits to living in her Geo Metro, parking it in Beverly Hills, and being called out by the cops every morning. And you know who virtually took her out of homelessness? None other than fellow comedian Kevin Hart. Kevin gave her $300 to find a place to stay for a week and get her act together.
When Kevin gave me that money, you know, he was asking me where I was, and I told him what I was doing, and he's like, you shouldn't be a beautiful girl like you, shouldn't be sleeping in a car or anything like that. Get yourself a room and make a list of goals and figure out how you're gonna tackle and start tackling those lists.
My bestie and your bestie sit down by the fire.
Number 7, Steve Harvey. Before being a big shot actor, TV host, and best-selling author, Steve Harvey struggled to gain a footing in the entertainment world as a comedian. In the late 80s, one of his 2 gigs fell through and Harvey found himself homeless.
I lived in a car, dog. I ain't had no backyard. I ain't had no TV. I ain't had no phone. I ain't got no bathroom. I ain't got no sink.
For 3 years, Steve lived in his Ford Tempo and would go to swimming pool showers and gas stations to wash up. But just when he was about to give up, he finally got the big break he desperately needed when executive producer Chuck Sutton reached out to him for a gig of a lifetime.
He said, "Hey, Steve, this is Chuck Sutton with Showtime at the Apollo. We saw a tape of you. You're very funny. If you could get here Sunday night, we'd love to put you on television."
In 1993, he became the host of Showtime at the Apollo, a variety show that he went on to host for 7 years, and the rest, as they say, is comedy history. Number 6, Shania Twain. It's no wonder that this country superstar isn't easily impressed because Shania went through so much hardship in her life.
That don't impress me much.
Little Shania had a tough life growing up in a small town in Ontario, Canada. She and her mother endured physical and verbal abuse at the hands of her stepfather.
I know I'm not alone in this. I know there are a lot of people out there under different circumstances, but certainly suffering in silence. They're too afraid to speak out. Why? I don't know. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating.
When her mother finally couldn't bear all the violence, she took Shania and her 4 siblings and left home. They then lived in a homeless shelter in Toronto where they slept on cots inside a hot, crowded room.
We used to go down to the river to bathe and to do our laundry, and oh my goodness.
To help her family financially, Shania wrote songs and performed them at local bars. And needless to say, she has since come a long way from being a small-town girl. A string of chart-topping hits, 100 million record sales, and 5 Grammys later, Shania is now one of the best-selling music artists of all time.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Number 5, Jennifer Lopez. J-Lo made headlines recently when she and longtime boyfriend Alex Rodriguez called off their engagement weeks after rumors of their split swirled around social media. But back in 2013, the headlines read differently when the press claimed that the Latin diva used to be homeless. J-Lo set the record straight, saying that when she was 17, she moved out of the house when her mother disapproved of her Hollywood dream.
My mom and I did have a falling out.
I said, no, you can't do this. We had this huge fight.
It was kind of like, you do this or you leave.
Armed with sheer determination, J-Lo left home to pursue her passion. With no place to stay, she had to sleep on cots in a dance studio. After performing in various musicals, she finally found the breakthrough she needed when she became a fly girl on the 90s show In Living Color. Years later, she landed the lead role in the 1997 biopic Selena and went on to become one of the world's highest-paid Latin superstars. Number 4, Sylvester Stallone. Before becoming the badass action hero known for some of the most iconic films such as Rambo, The Expendables, and of course, Rocky, Sylvester Stallone was once a penniless and homeless actor back in the 70s.
You come around here, you want to move in here with me? Come on here, it's my house!
In fact, he was so down in the dumps that he had to sell their family dog because he couldn't feed it anymore.
It's a bull mastiff.
Bull mastiff.
Yeah, that's a dog. I don't know why. Even when I was totally broke, I always wanted to have an animal with me. And I mean, literally, I was, as an usher, making $36 a week.
But in 1975, a boxing fight between Chuck Wepner and Muhammad Ali inspired him to write the screenplay for Rocky. This immediately got producers interested. However, they were resistant to Stallone playing the lead role, being the no-namer that he was back then. But the struggling actor stuck to his guns and insisted on playing the character.
Because at that time, you had a lot of young actors who were energetic, Jimmy Caan and Burt Reynolds and Ryan O'Neal. Everyone fancied themselves as a fighter.
And you know what happened to the dog he once had to give up? He eventually got it back when he offered the guy who kept his pooch a role in Rocky in exchange for returning his beloved pet. Number 3, Tyler Perry. These days, it's hard to imagine Tyler Perry putting up a stage play and not getting sold out.
Now, don't go pretend that you don't know me or you ain't heard of me. You know who the hell I am. This is the Madeira universe, and I'm finna get you caught up.
But back in 1990, when the unknown actor-producer moved to Atlanta to stage the play called I Know I've Been Changed, he poured out all his savings and even rent money into it, hoping for a full house, the exact opposite happened.
I thought 1,200 people would show up. I just knew it. And only 30 showed up. Lost everything I had, rent, car payment, everything.
For 6 years, he kept on rewriting the play while being homeless. He either lived in his car or stayed in a cheap hotel. Things started looking up for Perry in 1998 when he successfully restaged his play at the House of Blues. And in 1999, Perry debuted his now iconic character, Medea, in a stage play called I Can Do Bad All By Myself. And we all know too well how that character played out for the actor.
You put your hands on me, I'm gonna punch all that Spanish out your throat. You're gonna be talking straight up English.
You're so funny.
Number 2, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is mostly known for his lively slapstick comedy, but his early days were more the stuff of melodramatic soaps.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Jim was only 12 when his father lost his accounting job, and they eventually became homeless. The entire family had to live in a van and work 8-hour shifts at a tire factory as janitors and security guards.
Nice work, Carl. Bump my fist.
Oh, missed it. I was gonna fist you.
During that low point in his life, Carrey developed his sense of humor, which eventually brought him out of poverty and turned him into one of the most sought-after comedy actors in Hollywood.
I have a very positive attitude about those sort of things. I really think that, you know, it's that old theory of the moth being born out of the cocoon.
All right, so you have
the more
a
the
positive
struggle, the stronger you are.
Before we go to our number 1 pick, do us a solid and make sure to smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to choose all so you won't miss out on any of our latest life-changing, boredom-busting content. And of course, be sure to turn on notifications in your app settings. Number 1, Chris Pratt.
Oh, babe, you had a crush on me. That's embarrassing.
Before he became a household name thanks to his character Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec and his star-turning role as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dance off to save the universe. What dance off?
It's not.
Like in Footloose, the movie?
Exactly like Footloose.
Chris Pratt had some pretty troublesome teenage years. When he was 19, Chris Pratt flew to Hawaii to go on an adventure, one that involved him living in a flea and mice-infested van for a year.
That van, right there.
Is that the van? Wow.
Would that be you in the van?
That's me, and that's literally the script that got me out of Maui.
Pratt spent his days at the beach drinking, smoking joints, and fishing. He did work here and there, but it was just enough to pay for food, gas, and fishing supplies. But still, he described it as a pretty awesome life.
That's my van. This is us. This is the beach. Oh my God. This is the beach I lived on in Hawaii.
However, that van life took an unexpected U-turn. While he was waiting tables at Bubba Gump, filmmaker Ray Don Chong spotted him and thought that he'd be perfect for her directorial debut movie, Cursed Part 3, a role which paid Pratt a not-too-shabby $700.
$700?
I know. I was like, score.
So, which celebrity rags to riches story inspired you the most? Tell us about it in the comments section below. Take home any of our exclusive gear by browsing our merch shelf or clicking the link in the video description. And while you're at it, take our quiz to find out how you can earn extra cash online doing what you do best. Awesome, right? If you thought these stars had a hard knock life, you won't believe what inmates have to go through inside 9 of the world's toughest prisons. So, do check that out. Till then, keep on keeping on, Factnatics, and see you in the next video.